Why is alcohol haram in Islam? Why is it that the Muslims cannot drink alcohol? This video is going to not only just answer this question to great depth for you, but it's also going to answer any future question you have as to why the Muslims have to do this, why the Muslims cannot do that, why the sisters have to wear a hijab, why the Muslims pray 5 times a day. Any question as to why things are the way they are, this video is going to answer that question for you. Sadly, there are some Muslims out there that when they're asked these sort of questions, so for example, hey, why are Muslims not allowed to drink alcohol? Straight away, they go to the health implications, for example. Drinking alcohol does this to your heart. Drinking alcohol does that to your liver, right? And so when they give that sort of response, the typical response they get back, especially if they're speaking to a non-Muslim who drinks alcohol, is, I only drink 2 glasses of wine every day. I only drink 1 beer every month just to socialize a little bit. My health is perfectly fine. I don't get into any fights. I don't have any problems, right? And so when we answer these questions by trying to justify the ruling, we're missing the point. The reason why anything is halal or haram in Islam is simply because Allah says so. When it comes to alcohol, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِنَّمَا الْخَمْرُ وَالْمَيْسِرُ وَالْأَنصَابُ وَالْأَزْلَامُ رِجْسٌ مِّنْ عَمَلِ الشَّيْطَانِ فَاجْتَنِبُوهُ لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. O believers, intoxicants of all kinds, whether that be alcohol or smoking certain plants or sniffing certain powders, all of this is from Satan's handiwork. So shun them, leave them, avoid them so that you may be successful. The reason why alcohol is not allowed is because Allah says so. And this is very, very important to focus on, because who is Allah? Allah is our creator. He's the one who fashioned this entire universe. He's the one that has perfect knowledge and perfect wisdom. He's the one that has given us guidance to make sure we live the best human life possible. And so when Allah Himself tells us something, we need to listen to it, right? And that's why, if I may introduce a principle to you in Islam, anything that is halal because there's a benefit behind it. Anything that is haram because there's an evil behind it. Whether we feel it, whether we realize it, or whether we don't. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, يَأْمُرُهُمْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَاهُمْ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. That He commands them to do what is good and He forbids them from what is evil. وَيُحِلُّ لَهُمُ الطَّيِّبَاتِ وَيُحَرِّمُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْخَبَائِثِ. That He makes lawful for them what is pure and good for them, and He forbids them from what is impure and evil for them. Anything and everything that Allah has said is halal or haram is halal or haram for a wisdom. The haram always leads to evil, and the halal always is pure. And so now that we have this absolute foundation laid, that anything that is halal or haram is halal or haram, allowed and not allowed, simply because Allah, our creator, said so, then we can start talking about the wisdoms and the realities behind why this ruling might be allowed or not allowed. And that's what we're going to do right now with regards to drinking. What are the effects of drinking on the world around us? Drinking is destructive. I think we all know this deep down. When it comes to the societal level, there are plenty of reports from all sorts of organizations that reinforce this. The US Department of Justice, they've reported that 40% of all assaults that you can think of happen under the influence of alcohol. The World Health Organization also reported that a large percentage, even though they've not given a number, they've said a large percentage of crime, all crime, happens under the influence of alcohol. And some reports have given a number and they've said 50%, half of all crime that happens around you in the world, violence, murder, drugs, sexual assault, anything like that, happens because of alcohol. This means that if you take alcohol away from the world, you make the world twice as safe and you reduce half the amount of crimes that take place. You see how destructive it is? Think of the amount of people that urinate in the streets and they throw up everywhere and they fight in the streets or in the bars because of alcohol. Not only does alcohol cause destruction on the societal level, but it also causes destruction on the social level. How many times have couples cheated on each other because they're under the influence of alcohol? How many times have people had unwanted pregnancies or passed on STDs because of alcohol? How many mistakes have been committed because of alcohol and broken relationships as a result, whether it's friends or family? And not only that, but it also causes destruction for you individually. It's been proven study after study that alcohol destroys you mentally. It is something that causes anxiety, depression, makes you dependent on it, reduces your memory. It affects you in every way mentally possible. It even ruins your physical health, right? It makes you fat. It makes you slower. It's something that harms your liver, right? Liver cirrhosis. It's something that causes cancer. It's something that destroys your heart, causes cardiovascular diseases. And in fact, alcohol is responsible for 3 million deaths annually. And so here you have alcohol destroying society, your social life, your mental health, your physical health. It destroys you in every way, shape, or form. So as you can see, when Allah tells us don't drink alcohol, He's doing it for a reason, and that's to protect me and you and allow us to live the best version of human life that we possibly can. And that's why Allah says, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْقِتَالُ وَهُوَ كُرْهٌ لَكُمْ وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ وَعَسَىٰ أَن تُحِبُّوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ شَرٌ لَكُمْ وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Really pay attention to this verse because it is life-changing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, fighting has been made an obligation upon you believers, even though you dislike it. Now, of course, this is about that context where the believers were basically commanded to fight. Now, before I tell you the rest of the verse, I want you now to remove fighting and put alcohol in that place, or anything else in that place that you're just confused, like, why is this haram? I really want to do this thing, and I dislike the fact that it's haram, right? What does Allah say next? Perhaps you dislike something which is good for you, and perhaps you like something which is bad for you. Allah knows, and you do not know. And so when Allah tells us that anything is haram, it's to protect us, and it's to allow us to flourish as human society, as individuals, and as a collective.